Hello everyone, I'm Dead Knight and this is In It to Win It. Don't forget to hit subscribe below to get updates on the channel and leave some respectful comments in all the videos. Today I'm going to be talking about the weekend I spent trying to force Frost Mage in the new Wailing Caverns meta and how that went. Spoiler alert, it went badly. Um, so I'm going to talk about Frost Mage, what is going wrong with this deck, what's going right with the deck, and what it's missing to push it into the edge of competition. So sometimes decks are only 1 or 2 cards away from being dominant. We saw this with the new Wailing Caverns meta when Shaman got Primal Dungeoneer and basically went from having 0 viable decks to 3 or 4 viable decks that people are hitting Legend with. And then when they added Wailing Vapor in on top of that, then it really just took off. So Shaman was 1, or in some cases 2 cards away from being good. Frost Mage also got 2 cards in Wailing Caverns mini set. They got Frostweave Dungeoneer, which is a 2/3 for 3. Draws you a card. If that card's a frost spell, you get 2 1/1 ice shards that freeze. So that card is pretty sick, honestly. And it goes really well with the other card they got, which is Flowcaster. It's a 5/5 for 6, and it costs 2 less for each frozen minion. So this is, Cabal Crystal Runner, which makes it free if you have secrets. This guy is free if you have frozen minions. So one key difference between Crystal Runner and this guy, Crystal Runner is free if you've played 3 secrets. So you don't have to have any secrets on the board. So you draw it late in the game and it's free. Flowcaster is not. The minions have to be frozen right now. So that's a key difference. Flowcaster is good, but it's certainly no Crystal Runner. But what about the Frostweave Dungeoneer? Frostweave Dungeoneer is a great card, but you have to you make a choice right now. You have to choose to either play only frost spells to guarantee this guy hits off, and then that means you have no spells that draw you cards, or it also means you have no spells that deal damage to your opponent's face. So that's the key thing that Frost Mage is missing right now. It has no card draw, and it has no spells that hit your opponent's face. The other thing you can do is you can play card draw, and you can play cards like Fireball that deal damage to your opponent's face are not frost spells, and then you risk just bricking Frostweave Dungeoneer when you play it. Turn 3 is a very key turn, so if you play Frostweave Dungeoneer and all you do is draw a card, that's pretty weak. So I tried playing with Fireball and with Ruined Orb in this deck to give you some early game removal options and also some damage to the face with some spell discovery. And what would happen is I'd play Frostweave Dungeoneer and I'd whiff and draw Fireball, and then I would just lose control of the board completely. So I'd never recover, and then I would lose. So it wouldn't matter that I had the Fireball or the extra card, because I'd have nothing on the board and it would just run out of control. So that is the major problem with this deck. So what does this deck need from Blizzard to be good? It needs frost spells that deal damage to the face is the most important thing this deck needs. The card draw you can figure out from other sources, but the frost damage to the face is absolutely key. And it's missing that right now, and as long as it doesn't have it, it pretty much has no chance of winning. But there are some things this deck does good. So this deck, in order to counteract the fact that there's no frost card draw and there's no frost face damage, the way that I built this deck is with a lot of minion card draw and a lot of minion spell discovery. So we've got Babbling Book, which is a nice 1-drop that gets you a mage spell, gets you on the board early. We've got a couple 2-drop minions that draw cards. Firstly, most importantly, Arcanologist, which is a nicely statted minion that draws you a secret. The secret it draws you is Oasis Ally, which is an awesome early game secret. So smoothing this right away into that. Sometimes you want to even play Oasis Ally even if you have nothing on the board, especially if you played Arcanologist, because nobody knows what Frost Mage is. So people might think, oh my gosh, is this Secret Mage? Is this Counterspell? What is happening here? And then when they attack your minion, a Water Elemental comes out, and then that is your shutdown minion. That is going to stop your opponent's weapon. It's going to take control of the board early, and you have a chance. Your other early game card draw is Starscryer. So if they are going to kill this with hero power, that's nice for you because that slows them down and draws you a card. If they don't kill it with hero power, then you've got a minion on the board that can trade up with its high attack. So that's nice. So those are your early game card draws. Then you also have Discovery with Venomous Scorpid and with Wand Thief. So those are nice to help you try to find those non-frost spells that you desperately need, like Fireball, to take advantage of this early game tempo you have. So really, what you're trying to do is get some presence and some cards early in the game, and then you're going to take control of the board, not by great tempo trades, but by slowing them down with freeze while you're playing your cards. So Flurry is key here because it's 0 mana freeze. Kona Cold is key here because it freezes 3 minions for 3 mana. Obviously, Varden Dawn Grasp, the new legendary from Forge in the Barrens, freeze their entire board and put a 3/3 for 4 down. This guy is awesome and I think is the impetus for running a freeze deck. And if you're lucky, while you're doing that, you're playing that Flowcaster for free. So why did this all go bad? So far, it sounds good. It sounds like we found some good options to make up for not having the key frost spells we need. But how does it all go south? So typically, what happens is your opponent will clear the board with spells. So either something like Hysteria or Kolkar Pack Runner and a bunch of spells with the hyenas, or for some way they will clear the board with something that can't be frozen. Rush Warrior has rush minions, so you freeze their board, they play a rush minion, and they're still killing your stuff. The absolute dagger for this deck has been Fell Rattler, which is a 3/2 for 3 rush that Death Rattle deals 1 damage to all your opponent's minions. So you play the Frost Sweep Dungeoneer, you're like, okay, great, it's Demon Hunter, I've got guys that'll freeze its face, Demon Hunter's never going to attack anymore, this game's easy. And then they play Fell Rattler, and they kill the Dungeoneer and both the Frost Shards at the same time. Without having any freeze to the face, the only way to freeze your opponent is with the Frost Shards and with the Water Elemental from Oasis Ally. So with one card that can blow up your Frost Shards, that pretty much just neuters your deck. So that's been a huge setback. Another huge setback besides not being able to control the board because of rush minions and spells is there's really nothing on the top end that can finish this game for you. So this deck is trying to run Astromancer Solarian to get Solarian Prime to helpfully close out the game. This deck is also running Yogg-Saron Master of Fate to try to close out the game if things get away from you. But because there's no face damage from spells, you have to hope you get lucky and discover those, or you have to hope that your opponent has no answer for your frozen board and you can win with minions. Those are both really big asks. And so you look at what are your top end options here. You have N'Zoth, which is, you don't have too many different kinds of spread minions in this deck, and it's hard to get them. You can add South Sea Scoundrel, and then you have, it brings back a 1/1 elemental, it brings back a Venomous Scorpion, and it brings out South Sea Scoundrel. So that's not really a good option at the end of the game. You have Cthulhu, which you'd have to draw your whole deck for, and then you have some non-frost spells in there, so blows up your frost game plan. You have Yogg, which is working, has the ability to win the game for you, so that's nice. You can't play Grand Finale because it's a non-frost spell. You can't play Mask of Cthulhu because it's a non-frost spell. there's just no good options right now. So the deck needs frost damage to the face. So you don't need an end game option, or it needs some really good frost end game option. Right now, Deep Freeze is the top of the line end game frost spell, which deals 0 damage and puts water elementals on the board, uh, which is not enough because you can only freeze one thing with Deep Freeze. So you freeze with Deep Freeze and then get rolled over. So meanwhile, on the other side, what are other people doing at the end of the game? Other people are playing Troublemakers, which deal damage to you without being frozen and clear your board. They're playing N'Zoth. Um, they're playing Deathspeaker Blackthorn. They're playing Illidari Inquisitor. There's all these just bonkers end game cards, and Mage has none of them. So, typically what's been happening is I've been getting people, below 10 health, below 5 health, just having no way to close out the game because I didn't discover a fireball, and then I lose. And if I was playing the deck with fireball and with Ruined Orb, then I was drawing them and I wasn't getting close to winning because I couldn't make the freeze work. So right now, don't bother playing Freeze Mage. With any luck, there will be some Frost burn spells coming out in the next set to make this deck viable, or some top end of the game Frost spells to make this deck viable. But right now, it does not work. I've won a few games. Sometimes the freeze thing does work. Not often. I've been beating up on all different kinds of druids with this deck, but that's about it. So don't bother with Frost Mage until they get some frost burn damage to the face. I hope you had a better experience with Frost Mage. Let me know what you think of the deck. What do you think it's missing? How have you played it? Don't forget to hit subscribe below and leave some respectful comments below. And tune in next time, hopefully when Mage is good.